Anyway, my name is Noirente. I write under that as my nom de plume. And I am one of the co-founders, along with Judy Thompson, who some of you may know, of Mainstreet Art and Culture Slam of the Land, a.k.a. Breaking Bad Poetry. And I'll tell you a little bit how we got that name later on in the show. We are a Poetry Slam Inc. certified slam, which means we send poets all over the country and sometimes beyond to compete in poetry competitions and poetry festivals. We are one of only 4 certified slams in the state of Florida and 100 worldwide. So the poets you are about to see have gone up against and gotten the better of, often, the best poets in the world. Okay? A little bit about Poetry Slam. Does anybody here know what Poetry Slam is? No? None of you? Have you been to a poetry reading?
Yes.
This ain't that. So forget about that. All poetry is meant to be spoken aloud. So during a Poetry Slam, you will get spoken word. You'll get poetry. You'll get raconteurship, which is a fancy word for storytelling. You'll get maybe a battle rap here or there. You'll get a little bit of everything, but it's performance as well as writing. So, and that's why nobody has a bad time at a poetry slam. You might go to a poetry reading and it's like, oh, it's all right. The wine was good. But, you know, poetry slam, you're like, yes, yes, God, I got to do that. And I hope that when you finish listening to these poets, you'll go home and write some stuff yourself. And then come visit us in the land and read it. Because we have an open mic portion as well. So I'm not going to talk a lot about the poets unless they get up here and do something bad, and I'm going to talk about them a lot. They ain't going to do that. They'll probably be casting all sorts of shade at me. That's all right. Don't believe them, even if they are telling the truth about me. Anyway, I want y'all to put your hands together, start clapping for the first poet. This is Eddie Figures, the 27th ranked poet in the world.
I am a wordsmith nerdist. I'm sorry, I made you jump. I said I am a wordsmith nerdist. All right. I work words and curses till they merge like cursive, and I work them with purpose to make certain that the word that's being served it gets worded perfect. I'll be wondering that for you in case you missed it. You see, I am a wordsmith nerdist. I work words and curses till they merge like cursive, and I work them with purpose just to make certain that the word list being served gets worded perfect. You see, my name is Eddie Figure, the movie man, a.k.a. Eddie Loud, because I smokes loud, I gets loud, and we at the Beacon College. How you feeling right now? That's what I'm talking about. See, this is why I didn't use the microphone. I am a little bit loud. I am from the Caribbean. I am Puerto Rican. This is a symbol of the indigenous people of the Caribbean, the Tainos. And the poem that I'm going to do today, I'll be doing 2 pieces. Being that we are at a college, history is something that I am very, very passionate about. Real history. And I figured, you know, being that we are at a college, education would be something that would be important to go ahead and share. So this first poem that I'm going to do, and you'll be seeing me later on, you know, so you can get your earplugs next time you have me on the screen. My pale-skinned mother's mother is the color of the soil that she was born on. Hands shaped like rocks, face with indigenous features, hair like a black microphone, her name is America. Now my brown-skinned daddy's mother is the color of an almond. Body like a bowl full of joy, hair like a gray radiant sun, eyes sunken and darkened like a raccoon. She is the battered wife of history, her name is Innocence. Husband stolen long ago by these 3 evil stepsisters, Nina, Pinta, Santa Maria. The first people betrayed by the New World were the Tainos. Ruled over with an iron crown until Uncle Sam had a tea party in Boston, tossed these 3 demons in the ocean. Thought he was our savior, but come to find he had been food poisoning buffaloes by serving them chicken pox over blankets. And every year we kill another bird and we say thank you. He'd also stolen lions from the motherlands wrapped in chains so they can build him a White House where he can rule. I mean, govern. You see, the Statue of Liberty heard about the parties, said that she wanted to join in. Soon as she set foot on these shores, Uncle Sam said, get back in the kitchen where you belong. That's why the Statue of Liberty don't ever smile. Even in that second Ghostbusters movie, she still has a crowd full of men telling her what to do. Then Uncle Sam sat back chewing popcorn, and he made a buffalo, dressed up in a zoot suit, and walked a trail of tears on wounded knees through a shandy creek by the rose woods where strange fruit grows. You see, Uncle Sam is known for killing kings when they have a dream. He will straight Plymouth rock you to sleep. Nightmares are born when minorities realize their place in the American dream. That's why we stay woke, so they don't catch us sleeping while we're escaping this trap called the American experiment. But Uncle Sam will never teach you about the Tuskegee experiments or the forced sterilizations of our women or how they had stolen Henrietta Lacselle's, because then they would have to teach you that black girl magic is scientifically real. You see, they don't tell you that we are living experiments, so they will tell you that we are living in projects. Man, defund our education. We learn from the School of Hard Knocks. I know street pharmacists with self-taught degrees in chemistry. They can take an ounce of baking soda and change it into a fridge full of groceries. You see, lions hustle to feed their cubs, shot down like dogs in these streets, turn into roadkill for vultures that run for re-election. Only rats keep the pigs fed while they lock us in a pen and then rip out the page. You see, the concrete jungle is not full of super predators. It's full of people that just want to breathe. But how many stop breathing for equal rights? Yet Uncle Sam only gave us civil rights, then gets mad when we civilly protest for equality, yet he won't let go of supremacy. It's because the only rights we ever got from civil rights was the right to remain silent, and a closed mouth don't get fed, and I ain't starving to death without a fight. So we fight and we march for the right to live, because the truth is that the national bird has never been the American eagle. It has always been the Jim Crow.
Told you. Anyway, this next poet, the reason I mention that, this next poet came out with his book about 1.5 years ago, and it rocketed to the top of the charts for Hispanic authors. Yes, that's what I'm telling you. These are good poets. You didn't think so? I want you to put your hands together for Alan Miner.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. In my work, I am a very strong mental health awareness advocate. So pretty much anything that you see me do, from my spoken word poetry to my writing, it's all focused around mental health awareness and how I can sort of put that in a way that other people who may not understand can get a glimpse, and for those who do understand, to know, there are other people who deal with that. My therapist once asked if I was truly committed to treatment. She said that things wouldn't get better unless I was completely invested. I tried to tell her that I am, but that sometimes there's a part of my mind that's like another person, and he doesn't necessarily know if he's completely on board. She shot back with, there are not different parts of you, there's just you, and you need to decide if you really want this. Now let me begin by saying that I love my therapist. She's guided me through hell and back, and not once has she led me down the wrong path. But what she doesn't understand is, sometimes it's not as simple as that. Sometimes I'm drowning so deep in the ocean of medication that all I want is to feel like me again. I want to pull him out of the water, breathe life into his lungs, and tell him, no, you can't give in. Sometimes I feel so lost in this cold and dark place, this purgatory between heaven and hell, that even Satan's fingertips seem inviting, because sometimes his flame is the only light that I can see. You see, there's a separate person in the minds of all of us. He's the one telling teenage girls to dress in miniskirts because it's the only way to get a man's attention. He's the one telling boys that they're not really men unless they're doing manly things like working on cars, going camping, or sleeping with anything so they can go back and tell their friends. He whispers sweet nothings as you stare into the mirror. Things about how big your nose is, how flat your chest is, how dorky your glasses are, and how no one really likes you. They just want you around for what you can do for them. We all have that voice in the back of our minds that feeds our insecurities, tells us we're weak, and speaks contrary to everything that we believe. The only problem is mine doesn't whisper, mine screams at the top of his lungs, trying to cause an avalanche of negativity to come down and crush me. And the worst part is mine doesn't just poke fun at my physical and mental features. No, he's too cunning for that. Mine will remind me that when all the chips were down, he was the only one who was there for me. Mine will point out that when I was too far out to sea, drowning in that ocean of medicine, the fog of unawareness enshrouding me, it was he that brought me the lifeboat. It didn't bring me back to safety. And though I knew it wasn't right to get off the medications, it was him that helped me feel again. It was him that helped me be me again. No, he didn't take me to dry land, but he was the only company that I had. So when I tell the doctor that there's a part of me that doesn't want to give in, that doesn't want to go silently into that good night, I'm not saying that I'm not committed. What I'm saying is there's a part of me that I hate, that I wish nothing more than for it to go away, and yet he's been with me since the beginning. When things were at their worst, even though he's the one who probably caused it, he was still there, as dependable as ever, whispering sweet negativity in my ear. Yes, he's my worst enemy, but he's also my best friend. And though sometimes I want to get rid of him, it's just not as simple as that. Thank you.
Now we have the next poet coming up, and it's in his contract, so unfortunately you guys are going to have to help me out with this. If poetry was a sport, then he would be a soccer game. So I'm going to need you, okay, this is a chant, ready? Ole, 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 ole. Bobby, can you do it? It's in his contract, it's got to be in unison. Ready? Let's try it again. Ole, 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 ole. Okay, put your hands together. Coming to the stage is the one and only Matador. Ole, 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 ole,
ole. Katy Perry didn't give the best Super Bowl halftime show performance, but she did have the most memorable backup dancer. This ain't your typical Super Bowl Sunday. This ain't your grandma's football or your grandpa's. This ain't your ma's football or your pa's. Unlike the Super Bowl, this will actually be the sporting event of the year. One man? No, one creature. One goal. One worldwide vision to pit the sea against itself on land, to put surf on turf. One creature against an entire team. Left Shark versus the Miami Dolphins. Recently freed from captivity after we caged it during Katy Perry's Super Bowl halftime show, Left Shark is hungry. Left Shark is out for blood. Left Shark is itching to tear into the flesh of a team far too complacent to even consider attempting to live up to the shadow of their glory days. Left Shark will. Da-da. 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 It's way across the field, searching for the next dolphin to make into its meal. And all this before the coin toss. That's right, we're setting all lefty free before the refs can rid their zebra-shirted torsos and vague gestures act impartial officiating. Blood Bowl 2018 will bring the gore and the death we've always wanted in the game of football. Watch as any players who somehow survive Left Shark's pre-coin toss massacre quake at the line of scrimmage until their 14th string quarterback finally whimpers out the weakest hike in America. Miami will have to go so far down their roster that Dan Marino, that's right, no year is safe. Dan Marino will be forced to call out from his day shift at Courtesy Chevrolet to save the day. But it will be too late. The rest of the team devoured or deserted. Dan Marino will stand at the line of scrimmage by himself, staring down the menacing, unsmiling, wide-open, bloody mouth of Left Shark. This ain't gratuitous violence, baby. This is just desserts. All dolphins are assholes. In surf, and on turf. Get your tickets today. The Blood Bowl demands that you drink.
Put your hands together for Joe Snider.
They will see us waving from such great heights. Come down now, they'll say. The band The Postal Service releases what becomes its first and last studio album a month before my 15th birthday, ironically titled, Give Up. This single, Such Great Heights, climbs the charts to #1, and I was the city's golden boy. Top of the class, head in the clouds, high school sweetheart, homecoming king, most likely to keep on climbing. No one saw it coming. I was 17 the first time I jumped from the highest bridge in the city. When I didn't die, my parents and the police told me I was lucky and not to pull stunts like that, and it was okay, they wouldn't tell anyone at school about this. See, the song Such Great Heights is technically a song about falling in love, but oh, what a great many things we can fall into. I can't look at you now and tell you why I wanted to give up or what I thought waited at the bottom of so many suicide attempts. I know most boys become men on dry land, but I swam to this adulthood kicking and screaming, these lungs full of an ocean that I had to swallow. I remember laying on the beach at night, counting the stars in the sky, knowing the brightest ones were the ones that just burnt out, singing along to everything looks perfect from far away. Maybe this is the wrong song. Maybe I should have used a song that you recognize as dealing with suicidal thought. Maybe Jumper by Third Eye Blind. Maybe Switchfoot's Dare You to Move. But I think that the message is lost in a song you know. The way wanting to kill yourself is not easy to sing along to. Maybe there's a little bit of suicide note in all of our conversations. Maybe there's a little bit of an apology in all of my goodbyes. I am sorry, I am leaving. Maybe the empty space beneath the bridge is their silence when you tell them how painful it is to keep on living. Maybe the icy splash of an ocean below is the only thing that makes you feel alive. I am ready for you. Wash up on this shore, this golden beach of fallen stars. You are not alone here. You are not wrong. You are not different. You are just singing this different song. And everything looks perfect from far away. Come down now, but we'll stay.
Now, the next poet to come up is a very special lady. In case all of you, are like into the Me Too thing, I did not purposely put the women at the back. It just turned out that way. So, email Daryl Owens. Don't email me. It's his fault. I love to shift the blame. Anyway, I want you to put your hands together for a poet who writes under the name of Adiza Rains. Her name is Selena Sanchez, but we're going to say Adizia Rains. Put your hands together for Adizia coming to the stage, a poet and storyteller.
Okay, who is that? I tried to get dressed up and I put my heels on for you all. Greetings, my name is Selena Sanchez, and actually I'm from a small town off of 301, right up the road, Coleman. Oh, yeah. You know about Coleman? Yes. You did? I'm from Coleman, and I offer a little bit of diversity to this group, this eclectic group of artists. I always tell them that instead of being a poet, I am a poem, and I live my life poetically. And in doing so, I'm going to share a little story with you. When my sister and I travel to Georgia all the time, we get off in Tifton. Yeah. Okay, we get off in Tifton and we ride through, and there's all these cotton fields. And a lot of times we'd ride through and I'd be compelled to stop and pick cotton, and a few times we'd come through and they'd use the bins or the gins or whatever you call them, and they picked all the cotton. And a few times we've stopped and I've actually gotten out and I have picked the cotton, and my sister said, well, you're going to be the only one in 2015 who goes to jail for picking cotton because you're on somebody's private property. I'm stealing. And I tell her, I say, well, history has it that my people may have picked some parts of this and that, you know, the least I can get, or at least I can do. But we're going to spring forward and tell you about when I went to Harlem. I'm a lover of the Renaissance. And we went to Harlem, and we lived at 1492 Amsterdam. And I kept telling my friend, what is this thing about 1492? But either way, we took a walk, and we went to the Hudson Bay, which we walked right past the Cotton Club. And my friend said to me, what are you going to do when we go to the Cotton Club? And I said, they ain't going to ask me to do no poetry up in the Cotton Club because we're going to support someone else. She said, don't say that. What are you going to do when you go to the Cotton Club? So I told her, I'm going to do my poem Crystal Raindrops, and I'm going to do my poem Candy, and I'm going to share my prayer with everyone. So we laughed and we took a picture in front of the Cotton Club. That night we got there early. Now everyone who came, there were a lot of seniors who came. They say, hi, we're so glad to finally meet you, and we can't wait to see you. And I said, well, I'm not performing, I'm just here to support someone. Hey, we've been waiting a long time to see you. Oh no, you didn't come to see me, I just came to support someone. And it happened about 3 or 4 times, so finally I said, you know what, the next person that says that to me, I'm going to say, and I'm so glad to finally be here, I can't wait to perform for you all, and I'll see you later. So, someone came, I said it, and there was this overwhelming sense of love, you know? And I walked around taking pictures of all the beautiful people who had performed in the Cotton Club. Later that night, a woman sitting at the table who knew the owner told him that I do poetry. He came over, he said, would you like to share poetry with our audience tonight? I said, yeah, you know, but I'm gonna need at least 2 more drinks, you know? So I get my drinks, I go outside and I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to do this. Needless to say, I performed. And one of the notes says, I love Maya Angelou, and Maya Angelou performed in the Cotton Club, but she didn't do poetry. She sung. I was able to do poetry in the Cotton Club. So I said, this thing about 1492 is that when I went to Harlem, lived at 1492, the thing that I discovered was myself. I like to share this. I am here to extrapolate bits and pieces of truth remaining, to weave a quilt that shall come to be known as the fabric of my life. See, I have held steadfast to an innate bond that keeps me glued to a culture that has survived the trepidation of imposed traditions. With my pen as my sword and divine truth as my reward, my mind and spirit are free. See, I rise and I give thanks, and I sit upon a throne knowing that I am heir. And in my garden, that's just a milk crate where I nurse at nature's bosom and take my rightful place. Because I am here to extrapolate with love, bits and pieces of truth, and weave together a quilt that has now become the fabric of my life. And I thank you guys. Yeah, that's it for me.
We're going to keep it moving. Put your hands together. Now, this next poet, I have to admit, she's a theater major at UCF. And this just cracks me up every time because we had our Women of the World qualifier early, I think in February of earlier this year. And I had never met her. And she came up and she was up against a lot of nice, good women poets, and she killed it. She absolutely killed it. And then she won. And she had the nerve to come up to me and say, are you pleased that I won? I'm like, I don't want Michael Jordan on my team. Of course I was pleased. So put your hands together for a warm welcome for Chanel Goldman. You can go until she reaches the stage, please. You are in for the street. Promise.
Sal. I'm a theater major at UCF with a minor in creative writing. I went to that slam he talked about to support a friend of mine who's really talented and ended up winning, and she was really supportive and everyone was really supportive of it. I'm still new to this, so the shaky voice is, I'm working on that. I write a lot about personal experiences. I'm really religious, and my father is from Egypt and my mom is from here, so I write a lot about like being biracial in America. I write a lot about being young and not knowing what I'm doing with my life. And so I draw a lot of my inspiration from my parents though. So this poem is called Crazy, and it's one I wrote on my mom and my dad and about their relationship, which I think is the most incredible one I've ever seen. So I hope you enjoy it. A friend of mine once asked me if I could write a book about my parents. What would the title be? I thought, and I told him, Some Crazy Brown Boy Meets Some Other Crazy White Girl. Laughing, face flushed with a smile, he goes, I could tell that you're silly crazy. And I realize he thinks I'm using the term crazy loosely, as a term of endearment, maybe. He's assuming I mean the kind of crazy that leads to a collection of Christmas cards on the refrigerator, family reunions, where we all wear the same color t-shirts and fight over who loves each other more. Nobody ever assumes bipolar, or obsessive-compulsive disorder, addiction, depression, neglect, abandonment, daddy issues. Nah. Nobody ever assumes crazy means crazy when you're open about it, when you're unashamed of it, when you're proud of the mountains your parents have scaled just to bring tumbling to earth to make an even foundation to build a house on. No one expects crazy to mean crazy like batshit, like so exasperated with the burden of having to make silver linings out of storm clouds that some days we need to take a step back just to appreciate how we are the only people ever willing to sit beside ourselves crazy. No one expects you to be proud of coming from dust that tainted, but I am. I'm proud to tell you my mother is the only one of 5 sisters who refuses to let her letdowns define her, refuses to accept a way of life she was always expected to live just because no one asked her to achieve more than they did. She waited for the right man to come along, obsessed only with the idea that her husband would not just be her lover, but a phenomenal father to her children. Now, the woman's not perfect. She's a few Oreo cookies short of a full sleeve. She could benefit from a therapy session or 2, but I'm telling you, she's the best therapist, best nurse, best friend my little sister and I could ever have. When my father tells me he married her because no one has a heart like hers, I believe him completely. I'm proud to tell you that my dad came to this country from Egypt alone, with a Quran in his suitcase and a dream tucked tight next to the pack of cigarettes in his back pocket, praying, inshallah, only one of the 2 would ever go up in smoke. Yes, there have been obstacles. My father works 24-hour days, but never once has he made us wonder whether or not he's coming home. He is home. There is nowhere he can go that we are not sheltered by him, and I'm telling you, love that overwhelming is always fueled by crazy. 2 crazy people who agreed to offer their past to destiny as insurance to protect my future with. I have learned most everything I know from the history my parents have woven into bedtime stories and have never been shy to share with me because they'll both be damned if I repeat their mistakes in my lifetime. I see their kaleidoscope of faults in every move that they make. But every family member we have reminds me how little my parents had to work with when they were growing up. So they raised each other instead. 2 crazy people whose insanity is most apparent in how crazy they are about each other. Thank you.
Coming to the stage, the last poet of the first go-around is a woman who is known nationwide as Gigi. Gigi isn't so much a human being as she is a force of nature. Gigi stands for Glorious Goddess. So I'm seeing you people in the first row do not have any storm gear on. I'm sorry. But Hurricane Gigi is about to hit the stage. Put your hands together for Alethea Dupree, a.k.a. Gigi.
I'm gonna, thank you so much. say thank you for being here tonight. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. And I actually appreciate this college. I have a son who has special needs as well, and it's actually a beautiful thing to know that there's room and for him. He's actually a genius, actually. He scored in the top 5 percentile in the, what is it, the FSA. He's just, you know, he's my special baby. So, okay, so with that being said, I'm going to do, okay.
Yeah, I know what that means.
Well, let's see, because I can't have it happening. Ooh, see?
Yeah.
We just
Put the phone back.
stepping away from the mic, okay? I'm going to do a persona poem, which is called Goddess Time. It's personifying time. If time had something to say, this is what it would say. And it's also personifying time as a goddess. Goddess time. I am never weary, though I never stop running. I never stop going. On and on I go. At the same pace, I translate the many phases. Even when you're dazing. When life is so amazing, it seems like I speed up. Fly when you're having fun, I will always exist. Rotate like the sun. Infinitely measured. Fly like the desert to smart folk. Highly treasured. Great value. Lasts forever. For every seed that's planted, I'm required to sprout. Don't got no fleas, but got so many ticks no human beings could count. And people politic and say that I'm worth a lot of money that I equate to mucho dinero, but they're just trying to be funny because I am not cash. I cannot fold. See, coins cannot change. No peso can't put a price on me. Around me, life revolves. I will be when life dissolves with everything. I am involved. I am the now. I am the key. I am the future. You can find traces of me. In the past, I come in first. That's why I always last. Energy's the only one that can make it past. The pressure, captured beautifully, tomorrow will never forget. For here and now shall be the present. Go in circles like a cipher, switch up like the seasons. Can't taste me though my name sound like a herb. With me, it gets better. Yep, that's more seasoning. I am the urgency and emergency. Think you got plenty of me, so you procrastinate. But what you do with me now determines your fate. I make your day, I am your date. Appreciate this moment. Take that moment to see. My body is a reflection of ours and not of we. I resemble a woman, stretched and marked. I am the point that everything starts. I am, period. I last all week. Endurance is strong, not for the weak. A permanent marker, sharp I be. With you always like shepherd the sheep, and death plays a part. Live on through the arts, and take me with rhymes, then break them apart, and after I pass, you can still find me running with no rest. The question is, will you pass this time? Here's your test. Thank you.
Once I was madly in like with this woman, and so I wrote a poem for her, and then she died in a fiery car crash. Well, no, she didn't. I wish she did. But no. We broke up. We fell apart. And no, I really did wish she died in a fiery car crash, like when we first broke up. But we're good now. Maybe. In any case, it's a love poem. So I may screw it up or may not. But I want you guys to just encourage me. I'm going to step away from the mic like everybody else has done because it's going to sound funny. It's going to be funny enough with my regular voice. So this is called I Life You. There's a story behind this, but I'll tell you that later. I love you so much I would die for you. That's what I was going to say, till I recall I've said it before. But looping through my heart, a new song plays. Honey, this love has got me reeling. This love is so much more. Now the truth is, you don't have to love someone to give your life for them. Samaritans and soldiers do it all the time, and frankly, when I said those words in the past, I meant it. But what's inside me now for you, my dear, is 5 times deeper and 10 times more sublime. If I was an old school diva, right about now, I'd be on the high notes, singing out loud in an unashamed bliss how I never before knew a love like this, but I'm simply a newly enchanted man, trying to find an adequate expression for the sun that now shines inside my heart. So how can I make you understand the depths to which you've made an impression? No, my dear, I won't love you till the end of time. I won't die for you. I won't be there for forever and a day. Put quite simply, I life you. From the second I happen to see your face to the eons I hope to spend in your grace, I life you. From sunrise to sunset, from nightfall till dawn's met, I life you. See, the sight of you gliding down the street, majestic in your person and in your being, could incite a derelict to change his life, could bless him with a brand new way of seeing. Whether built from love or raised from birth, now I know where kings come from. You are the reason why I'm certain every prince was once a frog. And each kiss you give, my heart leaps as a reminder. It's the kind of thing confirming how form's perfection could launch vessels to battle without hesitation. But my revelation is that 1,000 ships are not nearly enough to wage a war worth you. I life you. From each moment I'm awake, in each action that I take, I life you. From the fire in your eyes to the honey from your thighs, I life you. Baby, I want to life you in the evening. I want to life you in the morning. I want to life you when it's sunny. I want to life you when it's storming. I want to life you as my skin meets your skin, as our music begins, as we thrust to crescendos that seem without end. I want every new kiss to be better than the last. I want to life you nice and slow. I want to life you hard and fast. I want to life you till all the furniture rocks, till the neighbors get confused and call the cops. I want to life you till you fall asleep. I want to life you so my all you'll keep. I'm not used to pleading, but the music of your essence is easily exceeding all definitions I used to have for classical. A simple I love you falling from your lips begins a symphony of ecstasy that soulful resonates oh so deeply within me, begins me soaring, imploring the alluring melody of you to never ever cease, never ever release the hold you own on all that I am. Write the notes of everything you are across the parchment of this joyful group. And know that I will never fail to sing your name each day. I life you. Thank you. So coming back to the stage, I want you to put your hands together for the glorious goddess. One thing you need to know about Alethea, Alethea is that rare animal. She's actually represented 2 different slams as an individual and 2 different slams as a team person. Very rare accomplishment. So, put your hands together for the glorious goddess, please. Keep it going until she gets to the stage.
Right, so there was this one time I had an opportunity to make a collage and write a poem at an art gallery, and they invited me back there, and I had to write a poem called I Believe in Freedom, and an artist painted a picture that she thought represented the saying I believe in freedom, or the title. And at the art gallery, when I got there and I saw the painting, it actually like went with my poem perfectly, and she never heard my poem. It was like very magical. And we were the only poet and painter that was able to be on the same wavelength out of the whole gallery. So I want to share that poem with you guys tonight because it's near and dear to my heart. It's called I Believe in Freedom. I believe in freedom of oppression. Thank God for my freedom of expression. You see, writing is my antidepressant. Release my love and all of my transgressions. It's the place for all of my confessions. Don't need a pope, a pastor, nor a priest. I just need my pen, my pad, my peace, and my thoughts to be free. And then I write. And as I recite, my energy ignites, then conceive this precious liberty. I believe in being free. I live to be free. I'm in love with the ability to do and say what I please. I appreciate the angels that let the beautiful caged birds sing. For I am the ear that understood why those caged birds sang. I believe in being free. I live to be free. I believe we create our own reality. Since our thoughts become action, we have the power to change. I believe with this type of freedom and abundance of peace, love, and joy it will bring, and our community will have true happiness to exchange. Yes, thank you.
Anyway, coming back to the stage, put your hands together for the one and only Chanel Goma. Please keep it coming.
So I mentioned the last time I was up here that I study theater at UCF. And when you're a theater major, they make you take 3 semesters of theater history. So we basically read plays from like every era that theater was happening in. So like from the first time somebody like wrote something down to we ended in like the Restoration period was when like the last class happened. And so last semester we were reading a play that talked a lot about being biracial in America. It was from the 90s. And there were a lot of biracial people in my class with me, and so the conversation we had was really interesting, and I wrote a poem about it because I just was really enamored by some of my classmates, and then like enraged by some of the other ones, and then the poem happened. So I'd like to share that one with you all. We are in history class discussing a play, Leche de Amnesia, The Milk of Amnesia, written by Carmelita Tropicana. It is about growing up as a queer Cuban immigrant in America in the 1990s. The classroom is drizzled in diversity, and the conversation is fire. My Cuban friend comments on how Carmelita's uncle in the play is the spitting image of all her uncles in real life. A Cuban boy in the back of the room, usually quiet, usually observant, breaks his own mold at her words, bellows, "Yo, mine too." 2 Latinas talk about not being Hispanic enough for half their family to acknowledge, and not being white enough for half their family to claim either. We pause, reflect on this. Shouldn't their American family be able to claim them with ease? I mean, isn't entitlement the brand of their genes? We laugh, and we burn together, all ember and flamboyant flame ignited by these open wounds raw only we can see on each other. White boy raises his hand. We hold our dragon breath. White boy says, I had trouble relating to this play. I don't know what it's like not to feel home here at my home, but I am feeling enlightened. I do appreciate this piece and all of your stories. Thank you for sharing them with me. Thank you for your patience, for your understanding when I know I don't deserve it. And so, the white boy faced his privilege. So we called him friend. So we called his embers beautiful while they praised ours. So we burned, boiled, melted into each other like different, but daring someone to say so. White girl raises her hand. We're ready to share our shine with her too. White girl says, I also had trouble relating to this play, but not for the same reasons. I'm struggling to see where my representation is in the piece. I don't know what it's like not to be welcomed wherever I go, and I just want to point out to you all what a lonely place this is to be right now. And so, The fire was put out by a dewdrop that calls herself Ocean. I guess if enough people call you by a name that isn't yours, treat you with power and respect you did nothing to earn, you will begin to believe in it all too. Now white girl wants to know about her culture, asks what she gets that's special. Our professor claps his hands. Our white, queer, genius liberator in slacks and a checkered tie rekindles us souls with the clap back. He tells her your culture is racism. Your culture is genocide. Your culture is a flag. You get a flag, white girl. Woohoo! You get to pledge your allegiance to the taking of the blood, the sweat, and the tears of every type of person people like you still only see as dollar signs or bullseyes. White girl says, well, I'm like 1% Native American, so does that mean I can say I'm not white? White girl, that may be the whitest thing you've ever said. Your 1% is not culture. Your 1% is not heritage. Your 1% is a European's conquest. Your 1% is the pillage of a people. Your 1% is a rape victim. Your 1% has nothing to do with you at all. Now, I am not blaming you for this America. I am not calling your American invalid. However, white girl, right now, you are the type of American the rest of us in this room refuse to be associated with. You're the reason I say Egyptian first. The reason I check other or Middle Eastern and never Caucasian, but there is hope for you. Let your American be your access to education. Let your American be your freedom of curiosity. Pick up a book, white girl. Untuck the flag from your bed sheets and learn to sleep with a new dream. A dream for better, a dream for more, for everyone. The way the rest of us Americans have learned to. Thank you, guys.
Next to the stage for our second go-round, the wonderful, beautiful Adija Reigns. Put your hands together for Adija Reigns.
And I'm going to say this because I'm a little older. I forgot to say something when I was here the last time. And the funny thing about it is, it was the best part of the story. So grateful, you know. We're going to call all that other stuff a commercial. So we're going to go back to the last thing I said before I do what I'm going to do. And that is, my sister told me, she said, you must be out of your cotton picking mind because it's only right for you to pick up cotton, to have picked cotton. And did I say it already? So you know I am a senior, right? Or did I say it? Oh, okay. So it's only right that you would, being a poet, pick up the microphone in the cotton club. That brought the whole thing together. I am over 50, so. Oh, wow. Okay. You know, the people, they say that music stimulates more parts of the human brain than any other human function. And I was blessed to write an original play for Michael Jackson, and it was our history through his hit story. But in the process of doing that, I came across the idea to kind of do a piece about the evolution of black music. And during the 60s, when you had your Black Power movement, you also had Black Arts movement, Black Music movement. There were all of these entities that were involved, but most people only talk about the Civil Rights movement. But it was propelled by the music, and usually anything we do is propelled by the music, and I hope you all have a soundtrack, because I make sure I have a soundtrack for my life. But it goes, music has always been a way for us to use our creative genius to illustrate our passions, our plights, our purpose, our love and happiness, our joys and our pains. It was a way for us to heal a broken soul, not merely to entertain. See, for us, it was like a language, a way in which we could communicate, a way in which we could not only translate, but navigate ourselves through these unique experiences that we find ourselves in wherever we find ourselves. I mean, of course, music helps us work. We can't see in the mornings, we can't see at night. Music gave us something to march to, something to move to, something to groove to. And I know it might sound a little crazy, but between Marvin Gaye and Al Green, music helped us make a lot of babies. See, our ancestors did so much more than merely pick cotton. They sowed seeds of songs in the belly of the breeze, knowing one day that we would catch wind. Being that we are akin to the African bambata, we would eventually be looking and listening for the perfect beat, and we'd hear it. We'd hear it in the hip-hop heartbeat of those tom-toms that have carried us across every conundrum that has ever beset us. From the cradle of civilization across oceans and seas of centuries, even made it through the Middle Passage to finally be alive and free, in us and me. See, our histories and our legacies have been sung in perfect harmonies. They had us chasing freedom so long. There's no wonder why our songs have runs in them and pitches. Pitches that will make you swing and dance and believe that you could fly, you beautiful butterflies. See, history made us royal, crowned us kings and queens of everything that sings. We had our own parliament. We were a rhythm nation. We even had our own Moses. We had our own Caesar. That's Sister Shirley, which is why you got your potatoes, tomatoes, and greens, beans. You name it. We had our own Prince. See, when we talk about music, it always ends up being about a celebration. And we're going to need a cake. Now we're going to need a baker because we're going to have this cake. See, the thing about music is all the magic that it holds, all the stories that it shares. And I know one day this girl asked me, she says, "You know, like music changed the world?" And I said, music did. It changed us. And we are the world. Thank you.
Next, we're going to have Orlando's Slam Master back to the mic. Put your hands together for the one and only Joe Snider.
Okay, this is from the book. It's clear what we worship when our skies are dark. I've heard people pray for a storm to make landfall somewhere else. But isn't that just wishing bad luck on other people? How often do we pray to a God who only vacations here in the summers? Amen. Rain, rain, go away. Amen. A prayer never kept me dry. Amen. In fact, the thing I've prayed for most is death. And here I am, still. And my home is not always the name on the news after the storm, so I know I am not the only one praying. Amen. I am not the only story that is seeking shelter. Not the only mouth that has had to learn to swallow fast to make it through a flood. Enough of anything is a poison, even water, especially water in a heavy rain. It is easy to miss something that is right in front of you. So during the storm, I understand that it is impossible to know the hurt of other people. But I know other people are hurting, but I am just a man. Amen. The Taino word hurricane means God of storm. And I am careful about where I pray for the rain to go. Amen. Yeah, okay. It's short, so I know all these people, and they're all awesome. I feel like, I don't know if I know any of them better than each other, but I feel like maybe I've known Gigi a lot longer. Noir says, I mean, I've known you too, but it's different. So what Noir said about Gigi, Gigi's one of only 2 people in the whole state who has competed at the Woman of the World Poetry Slam, the Individual World Poetry Slam, the National Poetry Slam, Southern Pride Poetry Slam. Like, there's only a couple, and that's one of them. So can I do a love poem? Yes. I'm just messing around. I just need somebody to do a love poem too, and I know you best, so.
Just don't do it at Ivan's.
Okay. The beasts in me start brimming with useless excuses when her beauty exudes bliss like this. These long, loving words will erode through my throat till I'm toothless. These feelings are ruthless. I've fallen so hard on this face that I've bruised wrists. Please, excuse these excuses that are coming off the top of my head. I am ruthless. Due to more recent failures and past life victories, shadows of stains on stained glass glistening, antique antics, and glass ceilings antiquity, habitually cup half empty till she's listening. Ambitions of future events and her here with me. Love happens predictively, mentally, emotionally, and physically. So when I say I love three ways, it's literally. My pen stunned and stuck like static electricity. This ink pours persistently, persistent proposals of affection through imagery. Oh, and our silhouettes intertwined in symmetry. Eminent words of our love synapsed down my spine like morphine, reorganizing my torso's priorities, performing, forgetting to breathe. And then her breath adorning, my endorphins engulfing my organs like sunlight at morning. When she says she loves me, it's like some kind of warning. If looks could kill hers are Kevorkian. And every last kiss is a new ornament, a new contender in love's torturous tournament. When she leaves, all my senses go dormant, and I fiend for that torturous torment. When she says that I'm hers, that's all I want to be. When I close my eyes, she is all that I see. When we fall in love, we fall violently. These words ain't tactics, honey. That's just the beasts in me. Thank you all greatly.
Anyway, put your hands together for the next poet coming to the stage. The one, remember, you guys forget. Ole, 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 ole. It's in his contract. Come on, keep going.
So I do something sometimes called the poetry vending machine. I'm not going to do the whole spiel for it because it's like 5 minutes and a bunch of weird stuff going with it. But basically, someone comes up, I want you to write me a poem. Give me a title and some words to use, and then in X amount of time, I spit something out. This is one of those that I've written in that context. It's actually two pieces together. I hear that Mars is lovely this time of year. I hear that Mars is lovely every time of every year. But that's only because none of us live there yet. Contractors brought Earth into the space age, and soon those same contractors will bring space into the war age. One small step for man has always meant the next large-scale war for mankind is peeking around the corner. I hope the first war in space will be the last war in space. We'll never see the record of it, because the blood of our dead descendants will blend into the rust-red Martian dirt. But for now, space is still the place where imagination can breathe. 2,000-ton missions launch every expedition out into the universe. And if you are the first persons to live on Mars, I know that war will never make it there. You will earn the mythology people will give you when you grow old. They'll all say that your smile stopped the war. Every soldier, blinded at once, dropped arms in darkness. Thank you.
Hands together for Matador. That remains still, honestly, one of the best things I've ever done is get Matador to a national competition. I thank you very much. I love this stuff. Coming to the stage, put your hands together for the one and only Mr. Alex.
little bit of backstory behind this piece. I was in the military in another lifetime. I was a mortuary affairs specialist, which basically means that I assisted with autopsies, I performed funeral ceremonies, I processed personal effects, things like that. And so when I got out, I found myself in a very, very difficult place mentally. It was just a... Anyway. And what I found helped me tremendously was my spoken word poetry. Actually, someone had called me up, said, down in South Florida, said, hey, we're doing a veteran writing workshop. And we just want you to come. There's going to be an informal reading. It's going to be like 3 or 4 months of us meeting and then an informal reading at the end. We had this awesome director by the name of Teo Castellanos in South Florida. He's a very big, well-known name. And he said, we're not going to do an informal reading because I am a director, so we're going to actually make a performance. And so the 4 of us, we created this hour-long performance, theatrical performance of spoken word poetry. And it dictates our childhood experiences, our military experiences, and then our post-service experiences. And we've traveled with that all around. So the piece that you're about to hear has been all over. And it's also in my book, which is on the back right next to Joe's book. So you want to check that out. But anyway, this is called Final Services. And again, I'm going to leave the mic here. Hopefully it sounds all right. I walk into the cold, white room. It's so bright that it seems everything glows. It's not quiet and solemn like you'd expect of a place like this. No. There's jokes and laughter, people yelling and telling stories, but you can feel the seriousness underneath as if, instead of crying, everyone was sweating. We sweat white and blue. The colorless lab coats of medical examiners fading into the bleached surroundings, while the blue scrubs of everyone else creates a stark contrast that takes a moment for your eyes to adjust to. The patriotic color coordination of this room is completed by the deep red of blood, drip, drip, dripping from the metal beds that held rows upon rows of our nation's heroes who paid the ultimate price. Red, white, and blue. Those colors take on a whole new meaning to me now. And we joke. We laugh. We act like there's not 10 plus bodies lying in neat rows in front of us. Because we have to. Because our sanity depends on it. Because we represent the second oldest job in the United States military, mortuary affairs, and our creed is to treat all the remains that come across our tables, be they bodies or parts, with dignity, honor, and respect. And we're damn good at our jobs. But that takes its toll on us. So about everything else, we joke. We joke about handwriting, about what we're going to do tonight, about the time that we got smoked by First Sergeant because Private so-and-so rolled his eyes when he was given an order. We joke because we don't have any seriousness left. Because we just spent the last 5 hours doing autopsies on kids who are the same age as us. And then we're shipped off. Not far, just a few hours, to a warehouse where broken memories are stored. We're sat in front of what seems like piles of junk. But this isn't junk. These are piles of life. Stereos and CDs, books and computers, letters to loved ones, journals. Those are the hardest. Pages imbued with the final moments of those men and women whose bodies we just worked on. Kids only a few years older than ourselves, writing about homes, about friends and thoughts, boyfriends and girlfriends, wives and husbands, children that perhaps they never got the chance to meet because they were too busy tending to the offspring of chaos. And then we leave and perform funeral ceremonies on those men and women. All the while watching those same people that we now know so intimately because their lost loved ones told us about them in the journals that we read after they were dead. People ask me, did you go overseas and kill anyone? I want to tell them no. I didn't go overseas. But I did do a lot of killing. I killed the agonizing not knowing that the mother of an MIA soldier feels. I killed the shape of the American flag as I beat it into the shape of a triangle. I killed dry eyes as I shot them with tears of closure as they watched their loved ones lowered into the ground. And I killed any chance that I'd ever have for a peaceful night's sleep. Thank you.
Our last poet of the evening is also the first poet of the evening. I want y'all guys to just, I think I know what piece he's gonna do. I got a feeling. Y'all ain't ready. Y'all are not ready. But he coming up here anyway.
Yeah.
Put your hands together. Loud clap for our last poet of the evening. Eddie Figure.
We meet again. How do everybody? Something that Alan said. I come from a military family. I served in the military. I have maybe 4 cousins, veterans of Afghanistan, Iraq. And I heard a poem when I was at IWIPS, and the final line was that everyone loves the military until you ask them to sacrifice them. So if you see a soldier, treat them nicely, thank them for their service, because a lot of times we forget that people do appreciate it. So it had nothing to do with the poem, I just wanted to go ahead and say that. But one of the reasons why you are hearing the poetry that I'm doing today, I always say never insult the intelligence of your audience. So I'll talk to you guys as if I'm talking to just my equals. Today at work, at my job, I was, there was a song by an artist called Cardi B. You ever heard? The people in the front like that Cardi B fans, all right. It is a Spanish song, so a reggaeton song, and then the artist that she does it with, his name is Bad Bunny, which a gangster name, of course. And while I was sitting there listening to the song, a coworker, a white woman, says, "It's not Taco Tuesday," and then begins to laugh. And at that moment, I kind of just clench my fists and I bite my tongue, because I'm reminded that this is America, and I have to watch everything I say whenever I'm at work. And that's something that most people don't realize about people of color. When people say, why bring politics into this? We are the politics. This is 24 hours a day for us. We can't shut off the TV. We can't click out of a website. That's why I write the poetry that I write. But spoken word poetry, a lot of things you can do with this. And the poem that I'm about to do for you guys is a poem that does not work on paper, but it works on stage. You'll see why. This is a journey into sound. This is eyesight staring into the sound of history, changing the sound of history. A Mexican friend of mine said that she wanted to live in the 1920s when times were simpler. I said, not me. I don't like nooses being put around my neck for trying to speak Spanish in public. She had absolutely no idea what I meant. But it was at that moment that I learned that eyesight can change sound. That the more you open your eyes, the more the sound of history changes. Eyesight can change history. Mount Rushmore was built honoring the 4 greatest presidents of their time. Overlooking a United States, Mount Rushmore was built on sacred Native American ground. Sacred until they discovered gold and took the land back by force, continuing U.S. traditions of exploiting cultures and acting like it never happened. Acting like it never happened. Acting like in 1937, almost 200 Puerto Ricans were shot in an illegal protest by local law enforcement. It was now known as the Massacre of Ponce. Eyesight. In 1937, U.S. citizens were shot on U.S. soil by a U.S. colonial government at a parade celebrating the end of slavery, and we act like it never happened, proving that citizenship does not mean equality. Ask any African American. Ask any Native American. Ask any woman. Any gay. Any Muslim. History doesn't sound so sweet when your eyes are open, does it? History is written in ink, but it's documented in pencil. Did you know they tried to erase slavery from the history books? In schools, they tried to change the word slave and to worker. The slave trade into the North Atlantic. Can we please stop letting Texas write the history books? Because every page feels like a cemetery. Every word feels like a tombstone, burying the bodies, the backs that American history was written on. There's more truth in protest signs than there are with school books. Oh, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Oh, Columbus didn't discover America. He invaded it. Oh, history is a killer rhythm of B sharp and S flat notes and a bass that smells terrible. And the right frequencies of eyesight and sound can combine images, and it can produce. Oh, I am no longer surprised that the words Columbus and Columbine sound so similar. Oh, I am no longer surprised that the words Europe and Euro sound so similar. Oh, handcuffs and shackles sound nothing alike, but side by side they look like distant cousins. Shackles flattened, chains shrank, the links are identical. Cages became cells, the slave industry, the prison industrial complex, from cotton picking to picking fruit to Ferguson ticketing for profits. People of color have always been treated like cheap labor. Student loans, medical debt, slavery never went away. It just goes by different names now. When will you people get over slavery? If those who forget the past are destined to repeat it, then we will get over slavery when you stop trying to purposely forget it ever happened. When you stop trying to repeat it. When you stop trying to bring it back.
I warned you. You didn't listen to me next time you listen, won't you? Told you. Anyway, I want to bring all the poets up to the stage again so y'all can give us a nice hand. Let's end the festivities. Janelle, Alan Minor, Eddie Figure, the glorious goddess Alethea Dupree, Matador, ole, 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 Adisha Reigns, a.k.a. Selena Sanchez, Joe Snider, slam coordinator of the Ozone, Orlando Poetry. Did I leave anyone out? I thought I said Chanel Goldman.
No, you did not.
A.k.a. Michael Jordan. And of course, my name is Noir. We are Mainstreet Art and Culture Slam of the Land.